Good evening, this is GRTS News broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. Well, my name is Winifred Nicole and thank you so much for joining us in the headlines this evening. His Excellency President Adama Barrow wraps up his 4-day visit to Equatorial Guinea with the signing of 4 bilateral agreements with his counterpart, President Obiang. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of the Gambia has announced a new decision to increase the policy rate by 1 percentage point to 11%. Dozens of young migrant returnees recently concluded a 5-day training on entrepreneurship skills, and the Gambia's police chief stresses the importance of community policing in reducing crime in society during his nationwide tour. In sports, find out later the preparations ahead of the Gambia's AFCON qualifiers against South Sudan. Elsewhere, Kenya's tourism sector is witnessing a gradual comeback after the pandemic-induced slump that led to closure of some hotels in the coastal city of Mombasa. Well, viewers, those are the headlines. We begin this bulletin with the presidency because His Excellency President Adama Barrow wrapped up his 4-day visit to Equatorial Guinea, holding talks with President Obiang at the Presidential Palace in Malabo. The two countries signed 4 cooperation agreements to build the foundations for strong and mutually beneficial relations. Mamadou Jallo has the rest of that story.
President, His Excellency Adama Barrow and First Lady Fatouba Barrow were received at the Presidential Palace by President Teodoro Obiang Nguema Sogo and First Lady Constancia Mange. This marked the highest point of President Barrow's engagements in Equatorial Guinea, where he met President Obiang and members of his government. Two leaders held a tete-a-tete which lasted for more than an hour. When they emerged, President Barrow and his host presided over the signing of 4 cooperation agreements. The two foreign affairs ministers, Dr. Mamadou Tangara and Simeon Oyon Ange, signed the documents, which include a joint communique on the establishment of diplomatic relations between the Gambia and Equatorial Guinea, a cooperation framework agreement, a memorandum of understanding on diplomatic consultations between the foreign ministries, and an agreement on reciprocal exemption of visas for holders of diplomatic and service passports. The two leaders later spoke of the growing relations between the two countries, with President Obiang thanking his guest, saying the visit will lay the foundations for fruitful cooperation. He called for a new intra-African partnership to end dependence on the developed world, hailing the visit as a step in the right direction, as it will promote the socio-economic development of the two countries. He revealed that the two countries will exchange delegations as soon as feasible to implement the agreements. President Barrow expressed appreciation to President Obiang for his constructive role in resolving the political impasse in 2016, describing him as a great Pan-African leader with a strong vision of development and peace.
So we maintain peace and stability in our country. Without peace, we cannot develop our continent. We are ready for moving forward. But there is a saying, if you want to move fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you move together.
President Barrow also expressed the Gambia's readiness for a new partnership, arguing that Africa needs to look inwards as a continent in order to attain its development priorities. Later in the afternoon, President Obiang and First Lady Constancia Mange hosted a lunch for the visiting Gambian leader and his delegation. Speaking during the event, The two leaders renewed their joint commitment to take the relationship to the strategic level. The president and delegation later left Malabo, having laid the foundation for the establishment of a strong relationship with Equatorial Guinea. GRTS News.
The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of the Gambia has announced a new decision to increase the policy rate by 1 percentage point to 11%. The governor of the country's Apex Bank disclosed the move during a press conference in Banjul earlier today. Ibrahim Jallo has more.
This is said to be a response mechanism to the global economic challenges arising from the Russia-Ukraine war and the COVID-19 pandemic. The governor of Central Bank, Buha Sedi, says these factors have direct bearing on increasing prices of commodities, hence the new decision.
Commodity prices, especially energy and food, have surged in recent months as consequence of the war and the lasting effect of the pandemic. The IMF crude oil price index is forecast to grow by 54.6% in 2022. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO Food Price Index, which tracks global prices of meat, dairy, cereal, oils, and sugar, increased by 29.8% in April 2022 from where it was a year ago. Global rice prices that were generally subdued in 2021 have started picking up this year.
Although the global economic challenges are being felt domestically, the outcome of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting reveals that the Gambian economy continues to recover despite the odds.
Recent data released by the Gambia Bureau of Statistics, that is GBOS, estimated real GDP growth of 4.3% in 2021, compared to 0.6% in 2020. Growth was supported by pickup in fishing, aquaculture, construction, and a moderate recovery in services. Notwithstanding the external shocks, the bank's leading indicators point to stronger economic activity in 2022.
On foreign exchange, the central bank boss says the Gambian dalasi continues to be stable, even though demand for foreign currency was high for the country's import needs. Meanwhile, the central bank governor warns against use of any foreign currency to purchase goods in the country, saying it is illegal.
The legal tender in this country is the dalasi, is not the CFA. We are not part of the CFA zone. So any business doing that is doing something that is against the law. And that is why my next instruction will be, and will issue a press release to that effect. We understand even in this country, landlords are asking for rent in US dollars or pound sterling foreign currency. That is not acceptable. Rent in this country, the legal tender is the dalasi. And anybody asking for rent in foreign currency, what you are doing is illegal and we will go after you.
The central bank's latest decision also includes to maintain the required reserves at 13% and interest rate on lending deposit facility at 3%. Ibrahim Jallo, GRTS News.
The Minister of Energy and Petroleum has visited the GAM Petroleum depot sites at Mandinari as part of his familiarization tour of the facilities under his ministry. The tour provides the minister and his team first-hand information about the fuel storage facilities and its operations. Baba Silla has the rest of that story.
To be part of the round tour of the facilities due to highly flammable substances. Work here is in high gear as the staff move to ensure the effective functioning of the facilities despite associated risks. The familiarization tour is meant to give the minister first-hand information about the facilities and also enable him to address some of the challenges facing the petroleum sector. GAM Petroleum is a private limited company established for the supply of fuel and other lubricants. Touring the site, the minister and his team had extensive discussion with officials who briefed the petroleum minister on the level of works at the site. Here, the staff are committed to ensure the effective operation of the facilities for sustainable growth. After hours of inspection and discussion with staff, the minister shared his impression of the tour.
We will encourage them and push them to do whatever is necessary to address the challenge. Because as you rightly know, this is a private company. There is certain percentage which belongs to the government, and there are other private entities who have shares in the company. So they have a board, and as you saw, the board is actually meeting as we speak, so that they deal with the issues. We have brought up a number of issues to the attention of the board chair and the managing director. There are certain infrastructural improvements that they need to do, as explained by the managing director. They are doing the pipes, the lines, to the mooring point. This is work which is in progress, and we have been reliably informed that by maybe after June, maybe June, July, August, the work will be completed, and that will have a redundancy in the supply line from the vessel to the facility.
An engineer by profession, the minister is now looking to enhance maintenance and operation of petroleum facilities to meet international standards.
For the operation and maintenance of this facility, the storage facility, there are standards that guide how it should be operated and maintained. So I have encouraged them to apply those standards in the operation and maintenance of this facility.
Thousands of cubic meters of fuel and other lubricants are being stored at these facilities, which increasingly require technical knowledge to ensure maximum protection from spillage and accident that cause serious environmental consequences. Bawasila, GRTS.
Some migrant returnees have recently concluded a 5-day training on entrepreneurship skills. The training is part of the reintegration strategy to support returnees, and it was jointly organized by IMVF Project and the Voice of the URR Migration Association with funding from the European Union. Our correspondent Seydou Kamara witnessed the closing ceremony and filed in this report from Basse.
Returnees have wrapped up a 5-day entrepreneurship skill training organized by IMVF in collaboration with the Voice of URR Migration with funding from the European Union. The training is part of the reintegration approaches to support the returnees to acquire livelihood skills, to become economically empowered, to achieve their objectives with the famous slogan Tekifi, the project which means we can make it here in the Gambia. Speaking at the closing ceremony, the program coordinator at Startup Incubator, Mohamed Danso, said they share similar objectives with IMVF, which provide coaching, mentoring, business development, and training, as well as access to finance for a startup for entrepreneurship in the Gambia. He commended the participants for the commitment shown during the training.
This is just 5 days, and learning doesn't end here. Everything else that you've learned here today, you ought to go back to your communities, you ought to go back to your businesses and start executing what you learn. The journey of an entrepreneur is never easy. I tell you, you take 1 step forward, you are dragged behind 2 steps. You have to be consistent, you have to continue to innovate, you have to be persistent in what you do.
IOM Project Assistant and Communication Awareness Raising Focal Point in the Upper River Region, Binta Sallah, encourage the young entrepreneurs to be creative in their businesses, adding that the training will help to add value to their work.
There are times that we might not be motivated. There are times that we might actually struggle, especially with finances, and then maybe with people too, especially if you have products that like society is not used to, something new. I mean, personally, I am so into like a creativity. So let's say you come up with something which is like so creative, and then the Gambian society is not used to it. It might be hard in the beginning, but after a few years, you might actually find your way in the market.
Participants, including Modibo Kruma and Musukuta Kante, respectively, expressed appreciation to the IMVF and European Union for creating the avenue for them.
They learn a lot about the training, and I believe that the participants, if they go back to various villages and towns, they will also make best use of the training.
Sila haji jama tamani satare mammo nyinen ka surtout ma business wala karo. Bi mu business lati yina tan karan sifa kara. Isale bela business o sambala nyaami.
The training advisor IMVF Kadi Fofana believe that entrepreneurship is the main engine of developing the private sector, adding that it makes communities vibrant, inclusive, and secure by reducing the number of people trapped in the cycle of poverty.
When so many young people don't see a future in them for themselves, if they don't see a path to success, it holds the entire nation back. These are some of the reasons why IMVF, with the support of the European Union, are so excited about capacity building on entrepreneurship and are doing what we can to promote it in the Gambia.
According to the organizers, poverty is not the only cause of irregular migration, but also make women and youth vulnerable to its adverse effect. At the end of the program, participants were advised to make the best use of the life-changing moment as they serve as mentors and ambassadors in their respective communities. This is done by sensitizing people about regular migration and its negative consequences. Certificates were awarded to the participants for successful completing a 5-day entrepreneurship skill training. Seydou Kamara, reporting for GRTS News from Basse Upper River Region.
Officials of the Public Utility and Regulatory Authority on Tuesday sat down with participants from various sectors to review and validate the new water and sewage system regulation. Senabuja Njane has more.
To regulate the water and sewage service systems through regulation is timely, as it's the first of its kind to be developed by stakeholders. Pura and partners convened to work on improving the regulatory framework by developing guidelines and standards. The Director General of Pura, Yusufa Job, spoke at length on the process, noting its importance to the health and well-being of people.
In the Gambia, almost 85% of households have access to basic drinking water sources. However, only 33% of those households are using safely managed drinking water sources. It is therefore now more than ever that we need to transform the way we manage our water resources to deliver water and sanitation services that is reliable, accessible, and affordable to everyone. As you may know, our water services is predominantly delivered by NAWEC. We believe that regulation will not only improve the performance of NAWEC in this sector, but also promote competition, private sector involvement, licensing, to ensure fair play, and extra support is needed for other players to come in and supplement whatever NAWEC is doing.
As the world's population cripples with clean and safe drinking water, 47% of Gambians, according to Dembo Fati, have access to basic sanitation. He spoke on behalf of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, at the validation meeting.
On behalf of the Ministry of Health, I want to seize this opportunity that we have health officers in the fields, particularly when it comes to the enforcement of some of these regulations, trying to enlighten the public, particularly at the community level, to ensure the do's and don'ts when it comes to the quality of water. The MIGs also say that the quality of water in the country is being really compromised, particularly at the consumption level, which stands at 43% of all water sources are contaminated with coliform, of about 75% that are consumed at the household level are also contaminated with coliform, which calls for an alarm.
The regulation will guide partners on how to manage the water sanitation systems for better services. The board chairman of Pura, Aliungom, dilated on the benefits of the regulation while highlighting anomalies in the sector.
Important water and sanitation sectors have been starved of such development. I'm therefore hopeful that these regulations will back up and support the water and sanitation policies and the implementation of our laws in water, health, and environment. I believe they'll provide the different stakeholders, users, service providers, and regulators with rights and obligations and clear guidelines to use, manage, and protect our vital resources to achieve the overall goal of equitable and sustainable water use in the Gambia.
Officials urge participants to make best use of the forum by examining the document to effect response measures. Zainabu Jania for GRTS News.
Moving on. Riders for Health, the NGO managing transportation system for the Ministry of Health, has provided an uhuru for the people of Kantora district in the Upper River region. Louis Mendy reports the uhuru is a type of community ambulance designed for rough terrains in the delivery of speedy and quality health care services.
Type of mobility helping to contain maternal mortality in the provincial Gambia is the uhuru, the Swahili word for freedom. This type of community ambulance is built to conquer the roughest of all terrains in transporting pregnant women to referral hospitals for safe labor. Riders for Healthy Gambia have supplied dozens of them to the hardest to reach communities across the country, including this one in Diabugu, in Sandu district, in the Upper River region. It serves 59 communities in the district. Lamin Sabali is the officer in charge at the Diabugu Health Center.
Because you all know that one of the leading causes of maternal death in the country is delay in transportation. So Uru being in the Sandu district here, it brings a lot of impact. And one of that impact, it even reduce our maternal referral cases. Yeah, so that's a great achievement for the facility and for the region and for the district of Sandu as well also.
In 2021 alone, the Uhuru in Diabugu has facilitated 121 referrals, taking pregnant women from their homes to the health center for safe delivery. Sabali further explained.
If you look at during the rainy season, because you know all the surrounding villages around here, they are all off the roads. So being that case, most of the vehicles, like if they enter, they normally have these breakdowns along the way. So Uru being very sophisticated and well designed for that. So it's the only machine that can able to solve such a problems like that, going in for them and bringing them to the doorstep of the facility and picking them from their doorstep. So that alone is a great impact for the facility and for communities also it is serving here.
The Riders Board of Directors were impressed when they visited the Diabugu Health Center recently to gather first-hand information on the impact of the Uhuru and to find out challenges facing the health center in the execution of quality service delivery. Usman Yabo is the board chair at the NGO.
We hope and pray that Riders for Health is able to continue to do this for the betterment of this community and the other villages.
One of the challenges in running the Uhuru is limited fuel, but Omar Jah, the Director of Operations at Riders, has the answer.
It's very difficult to determine or budget referral because on time, as you have already said, sometimes you have adequate fuel, no referral. So when it's going low, the frequency might increase. Based on that, I can assure you, try to engage the driver. If he is running low to zero, before that 1 or 2 trips, he can always gauge it because he got the experience. He can raise an alarm when the ambulance is going. We can supplement. But all those records need to be indicated in the logbook because those indicators help us to manage effectively and to serve the population.
In Keneba Kantora, in the Kantora district, in the Upper River region, Riders for Health provided a new Uhuru to serve the area. Mobiles and SIM cards were also given to the Uhuru driver, the health officer at the Keneba Health Center, and traditional birth companions in the district. The idea is to facilitate free and easy communication link between them. Traditional birth companions play a crucial role in referrals and need to communicate hitch-free with the Uhuru driver and health officers. In Keneba, the mood was that of joy to receive the Uhuru. Villagers including Yande Dumbia and the village health worker Mbang Sisoho congratulated riders for the foresight. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
Well, staying in the Upper River region because the Inspector General of Police Abdullah Sanyang and his senior officers have visited various security installations in the region. The police chief is on a nationwide tour with his high command to find out some of the challenges facing his personnel in their various stations. Our URA correspondent Seydou Kamara picks up the rest of that story.
The Inspector General of Police Abdullah Sanyang continued his tour accompanied by senior members of the Gambia Police Force. The IGP and team recently toured the Upper River region, where the delegation visited several communities, police facilities, and other sister security services. After visiting the Bastard 3rd Infantry Battalion, Custom, and then a courtesy call to the governor for a briefing session on the purpose of his tour. From the governor's office, the IGP and team drove to Sabi border post, where the IGP and team were received by Suntu Sedifai, who led the delegation on a tour of the facility before proceeding to the border. This place here is referred to as No Man's Land, which is located between the Gambia and Senegal. The IGP also made a brief stop along the Senegal border Bajara Custom Post, symbolizing the good working relation between security services of the two countries. It was a long day for the team as the top security officials crisscrossed the region, visiting security installations and discussed with communities on ways of strengthening community policing.
The IGP wants to see community policing strengthened at all the three layers, that is from the village level to the district level to the regional level. And that's why during this tour, he's meeting with community leaders, the alcalis of the various villages, and talking to them to understand that community policing need to be championed at the level of the village. And then later on, he also had been meeting with district chiefs to make them understand that at the district level, they need to champion community policing.
The IGP also met regional governors to discuss their roles in championing this important initiative in curbing crimes in society.
There are governors that have already championed community policing at their regional level. For example, the regional governor of the URR today, the meeting has shown that he really understands community policing, and he has been working with his regional committees as far as the promotion of community policing is concerned. So this is the message, and also to ensure that he also visits the police facilities and see the welfare and working condition of men and women of the Gambia Police Force.
The tour provided IGP Sanyang and team the opportunity to get first-hand information about the welfare of personnel and also cement the cooperation with other sister forces in the country.
Throughout the tour, the IGP had been visiting military barracks. He has also been visiting other sister security installations to strengthen the relationship.
This tour, according to the Police High Command, is meant to take steps in addressing solving the problems police officers are facing in various installations across the country. And the IGP has taken decision to respond to some of the challenges his men are encountering.
And obviously, if he returns back to office, in fact, already efforts have been on the way to ensure that some of those situations are being dealt with. For example, there are certain situations where accommodation is the issue, and the directives have already been given for new facilities to be constructed in certain areas.
In Makamastre, in the Wuli East border post, 5 police officers were promoted to various ranks, namely Lamin Kanute, Inspector to Chief Inspector, Ismaila Mane, Sergeant to SI, Mohamed N. Kamara, Sergeant to Inspector, Balamusa Mane, Couple to Sergeant, and Amadou Jao, First Class to Sergeant. The objective of the police authority is to see community participation as far as security is concerned in the country, because the police cannot do it alone. So the collaboration efforts of the communities are needed to be strengthened to tackle crimes in communities and the country at large. Seydou Kamara, reporting for GRTS News from Basse Upper River Region.
Well, we will now go with a quick break. The sports news is up next. Do stay. Welcome back. In sports, the Scorpions of the Gambia have landed in Senegal ahead of Saturday's encounter against the Bright Stars of South Sudan in March, day one of the qualifying rounds for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. Well, for more on the latest preparations, I earlier spoke to Willie Abraham, the chairman of the Events Management Committee, who is already on the ground in Chess with team to coordinate things ahead of Saturday's encounter. Can you bring us up to date with the preparations in Chess ahead of Saturday's game?
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say that the national team has arrived this evening.
Okay.
They are lodged in Sali, and things are looking very well here in Dakar. The Gambian community have been calling and trying to see where they can get tickets.
Okay.
And the stadium is well prepared. We had a meeting this morning, myself with the delegation from the Gambian Federation, with the Senegalese authorities regarding the preparedness of the stadium.
Okay.
And so far, everything is very, very good. The Senegalese Federation with the Ministry of Sports have given us full support to make sure that all the logistics are all in place. So things are looking very, very well. And the ground is fantastic. The stadium is well prepared for the game.
Okay, Willie, talking about tickets, take us through the prices.
Yes. The covered pavilion is 1,000. The opposite covered is, which is the uncovered, is 700. And the scoreboard and opposite the scoreboard are 500. We also had a few VIP tickets, but I would say maybe by now the tickets would have been finished because somebody called me from Banjul this morning and said he went to the bank to get some VIP tickets, but they're all sold. But the price for those tickets is $2,500 if they're still available at Vista Bank.
Okay. Is it only at Vista Bank or do you have other places?
We are selling in Gambia, in Vista Bank in Banjul, Vista Bank in Keraba Avenue, Vista Bank in Latrikunda, and the other one is the Vista Bank in Birkama.
Okay, now let's talk about security arrangements. Take us through that.
Yes.
Take us through the security arrangements in Chess.
We have enough security for the stadium. For the stadium, we have confirmed that there's going to be almost about 250 security personnel, which is quite enough because Chess the Stade La Dior is very small. It's only about 8,000 people.
Okay.
And we have also acquired security for both national teams, the Sudanese national team, South Sudan national team, and the Gambia national team. We also have security for the referees and the match commissioners. So for the side of the security, everything is fantastic. We have also appealed to the Senegalese authorities to make sure that they also inform the borders so that when funds are coming from Gambia, we will not have much problems regarding border control, security, and all of that. But our advice is every Gambian coming into Senegal should make sure that he or she has an identification card or a passport. It's very important because, I mean, it's beyond our control to allow people just to walk in for free.
Okay.
They must be identified before they come. Yes.
Okay. Well, Mr. Willie Abraham, thank you so much for your time on the news.
Thank you very much.
Well, over now to news from outside the Gambia. Kenya's tourism sector is witnessing a gradual comeback after the pandemic-induced slump that led to closure of some hotels in the coastal city of Mombasa. In a bid to accelerate the growth of the industry, Kenyan authorities have launched a new strategy that seeks to diversify the country's tourism industry. Details in the CGTN report.
The hotel industry in Kenya is slowly getting back to its feet after the COVID-19 downturn led to thousands of job losses for people working in the sector. Many of the hotels in Kenya's coastal city of Mombasa are now building resilient structures to avoid another pandemic shock.
It's been a tough road. I don't think we're entirely out of the woods, but I do say that 2022 has been quite promising. We do estimate as a country that we will pass the 1 million mark when it comes to international arrivals. These are figures quoted by the Kenya Tourism Board and the Ministry of Tourism. We did see pre-pandemic 2019, we did see international arrivals cross the 2 million mark. So we do expect 2022 will at least be half of that. And going forward, we do see that there is going to be a lot more stability.
Kenya's Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife is now on a mission to diversify the country's tourism offering, moving away from dependence on safari and beach tourism. Dubbed the new vision for Kenya's tourism, the strategy will provide a roadmap for the sector and will shape the future of Kenya's tourism industry by providing a framework that details how to successfully develop sustainable tourism in Kenya.
And Kenya is not different, but we have also gone and become innovative in product development as well in marketing. But we have marketed the domestic market, so the domestic market has really boosted us up. But also we still want international markets. So what we are doing is that we are making it easier for people to travel into the country. We are open, we are safe. All our workers in the hotel industry are vaccinated. And then also we put the requirement very simple. You have a double vaccination and you have a PCR test negative, you're allowed to come in.
Regionally, the first 2022 issue of the World Tourism Barometer revealed that Africa saw a 12% increase in arrivals in 2021 compared to 2020, though this is still 74% below 2019. Change of tact in hotel management has been key despite the pandemic still wreaking havoc in some countries.
A lesson to learn for hoteliers, a lesson for businesses to basically run more efficiently, run leaner organizations, to find new ways of working. And also upgrading and refurbishing your product. I think that was what was key. And I think the people who had the long-term vision post the pandemic managed to use the time that they were closed to improve their product. And as they started opening up, we started seeing business trickling in.
For the better part of 2 years, Kenya was under a partial lockdown and a national nighttime curfew, which made it difficult for travelers to visit the country's tourist spots. Nick Mudimba, CGTN, Nairobi.
Well, that brings us to the end of this bulletin, but before we take leave of you, here's a quick look at our top stories once again. His Excellency President Adama Barrow wraps up his 4-day visit to Equatorial Guinea with the signing of 4 bilateral agreements with his counterpart, President Obiang. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of the Gambia has announced a new decision to increase the policy rate by 1 percentage point to 11%. Dozens of young migrant returnees recently concluded a 5-day training on entrepreneurship skills. And the Gambia's police chief stresses the importance of community policing in reducing crime in society in a nationwide tour. In sports, the Scorpions of the Gambia arrived in Senegal ahead of Saturday's clash against South Sudan in the 2023 AFCON qualifiers. Elsewhere, Kenya's tourism sector is witnessing a gradual comeback after the pandemic-induced slump that led to closure of some hotels in the coastal city of Mombasa. Well, viewers, that was all we had time for in this edition of the news at 2200 hours. But from me, Winifred Nicole, and the entire news team, thanks for watching and do have a peaceful night.
The Checkpoint. Big names on big issues. Only on GRTS.
Saturday at 9 p.m. Don't wait to be told. See it yourself.
Trust must be earned. Trust must be proven. Our first name is synonymous with trust. Our brand thrives on the trust it is built and nurtured through the years. Beware of fake news. Avoid falling for the new phenomenon in media. Fake news is dangerous. Watch us every day of the week as we bring you new and unrivaled educative programs. GRTS, the trustworthy name in Gambian media. Also follow us on our new platforms on Facebook at GRTS Facebook Live, Twitter at GRTS Official, Instagram at GRTS TV Live. And for those in the diaspora and at home, log on to the Wazi TV channel and enjoy a 24-hour broadcast of our programs.
What?
Welcome to the TAP Hub. This is a brand new show brought to you by TAP Africa Global to educate you on real estate business and all the information you need to know about real estate.
After 45 years of construction and real estate development in 8 African countries, it is time to share my experience